The themes that come from both Paulette Giles' book and the screenplay that that Paul Greengrass wrote was one about connection. That Captain Kidd realizes that I think his primary duty is to bring people together in a common room for a common purpose, and that is to hear the news of the world. To be informed about their community and literally the globe. That by collecting these articles from newspapers from around the world, he's able to put forth a human condition story that shows his audience they have a lot more in common in both wonder and purpose than they may think. That their community is affected by disease and building of the railroads, but their world is affected by the wonders of what's happening in Europe, wars that are being fought thousands and thousands of miles away, as well as the fact that there's now a professional baseball club in Cincinnati, Ohio. He put on a show, without a doubt, and a show always brings people together, and a show always, enthralls people. But because he was also making a great show about the news, about the facts, about journalism, he was also enlightening a crowd. Whether or not they thought the news was good or bad, what was positive about the experience was that they were informed, and that's a theme I think that is a part of the human condition. We all want to hear about the story of the hunt at the campfire in the cave at the end of the day.
Speaking of the human condition, I feel as if this film is really depicting the consequences of war, but it also shows that the news of the world is really good. It has this optimistic spirit. Can you speak to that?
When one finds out, when one is told empirically that change is afoot and it's beneficial to who we are, that brings about a degree of hope. That brings about kind of like the wonder that it is to be alive, and that comes from the most basic aspect of communication. All of us, I think, respond to number one, a story well told, but also number two, here's what I did, here's what I saw, here's what I learned. There's a great way to begin a conversation with anybody under any circumstances, and that was, I saw the most amazing thing, or I heard the most incredible fact. And that when you share that, it ends up you can be suddenly bound to a stranger, or be even brought even more close to a loved one. And that not everybody can do that well. But not everybody can be the storyteller in a good way, but I think everybody wants to be drawn into a conversation. Everybody wants to belong to something bigger than themselves. And even if that organization is only the audience in a barn or in a theater or in a bar, in order to hear somebody report, to tell of the world that beyond their own city limits, that's empowering. That means you go out into the night afterwards thinking, I'm really glad I came by and I spent my dime and heard the news of the world.
And tell me about working with Helena, because you guys have incredible chemistry and you guys just make a great duo.
Our movie could not exist without Helena Zengel. There's no way of putting it in any other way. You can't make this movie without that role being cast. And just by saying that, I think kind of like cheapens or doesn't give Helena her propers. She's not just a young actress. She's not a child actor. I can't describe doing this movie with her as our working together, because really all we just were together. We started, at the beginning of the day, we began a process of, we were connected at the hip. Sometimes I'm literally dragging her around by the scruff of her neck. And I think actually we just experienced, a give and take with each other all day long. That was about every conversation under the sun, every subject under the sun. And we would have to pause every now and again to deliver our lines and make the movie. But this film was never about hitting marks. This was never about the specificness of a dialogue. It was about the feeling of a moment that we ended up sharing. Sometimes it was when we were, on a horse together. Sometimes it was, Am I still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I on? Okay. Sometimes it was us sitting around a campfire. Sometimes it was us, her sleeping and me being awake. But it was not like performance. It was more like inhabiting who we were at any given moment. I can't look. I'm 64 and I've been doing this for a while, and I still like to learn things from the people I've worked with. But I'm looking at this 11, 12-year old, bilingual co-star of mine. And I was thinking, gosh, I wish I could be as unaffected as she is. I wish I could be as natural and simple as she is, because she was, and we just were.